Kill that golden bastard and bring me my beast soul, Son of Heaven roared from the bottom of the hill. Sen, not interested in becoming Son of Heaven's pincushion, grabbed the golden axe and began speeding down the hill. Behind him, he could hear warriors scrambling to get their weapons as they raced after him. Arrows soared through the air straight for Sen. Volley after volley sailed through the air, eager to piece the man who had ruined their hunt.
Fire!
Sarah Arryn cried out. Damn it, even Sarah's chasing after me, Sen thought as he willed himself to move fast. But the axe weighed Sen down as he ran. Even with his golden armor, Sen was just barely able to evade his pursuers as he tugged the massive axe down the mountain. Despite how easy the bloody slayer made it look, the axe was far heavier than it looked. Gritting his teeth, Sen smiled. I might just have the perfect thing to get me out of here. From behind him, he could hear hooves and paws pounding against the mountainside as riders on beast mounts charged after him, all staring him down with greedy eyes as they urged their mounts to trample the golden intruder. They quickly closed in. Leading the fury, Son of Heaven's right-hand man, Jack Ballard, cried out, Get over here, you golden butt wipe! You can't just steal someone's beast soul and get away with it. But I can, Sen thought as he tried to push himself forward. It would be a lot easier if only I had a little bit of the creature's strength. As Sen thought of the creature swinging his axe, a dark shadow filled Sen's vision. Starting from his chest, a dark shadow covered his limbs, morphing with his body as if it was changing his shape. A slight feeling of discomfort shifted through his body as he could feel his arms stretch and his legs split and multiply. He could feel his golden armor tighten around his new form as the beetle armor expanded across his growing chest. A harsh roar erupted from his newly formed bovine-like mouth. The power that soared through him was incredible. Not only had he taken on the form of the sacred blood creature, the Bloody Slayer, but he also had its power. A shape-shifting beast soul, Sen thought as he looked at his new form. This is going to prove to be very useful. Now, having transformed into the Bloody Slayer, Sen easily raised the axe over his shoulder. Not only did the axe weigh practically nothing now, but he could feel the power surging through his horse-like legs as he sped faster down the hill. Within seconds, Sen raced ahead of his pursuers, leaving them in the dust. Behind him, he could hear Jack snarl. Damn it! Hurry up! He's getting away with Son of Heaven's beast soul! Sen couldn't help but smile. They can try, but they'll never be able to catch up. As he surged forward, Sen could feel the drain on his energy the longer he kept up the Bloody Slayer form. This power won't last forever. I need to get out of here while I still can. With the energy that Sen had remaining, he urged his hooves to drag him back out of the mountains away from his pursuers. Thanks to the Bloody Slayer's power, Sen stormed up the rocky side as if he were some kind of mountain goat. In a flash, the Bloody Slayer disappeared over the mountainside. While his pursuers tried to keep up, the rugged terrain kept them back. No matter how hard they spurred their mounts forward, their inferior mounts were unable to cross the mountainside. Even if Son of Heaven still had his Triceratops mount, it likely wouldn't have been able to cross the land with such ease. Forced to remain back by trees and rocks, Jack snarled as he pulled back the reins of his wildebeest mount. Spread out and search. No one is to leave this mountain until we find the bastard. Watching from down below the mountain as the Golden Knight took off, Sarah Arryn called off her archers as she tried to piece together what had just happened. Never had she seen someone in the shelter with such distinct armor, nor had she even met someone bold enough to steal a beast soul right from under Son of Heaven's nose.
Just who was this Golden Knight?
Behind her, Deadly Fist hollered as he threw his spear into the ground. What the hell was that, Sarah? That man was one of yours, wasn't he? We made an agreement. With cold eyes, Sarah threw her hand up in the air to silence the man.
Do you really think that I'm someone who would back down on an agreement so callously?
No, but that Golden Knight...
What are you accusing me of, Deadly Fist?
From his furrowed brow, Sarah could tell that he didn't quite trust that she didn't have a part in the appearance of this mysterious golden knight. Of course, she hardly trusted him either. Trust was a privilege at God's sanctuary, where there were no laws to dictate the actions of man. With a huff, Deadly Fist shook his head.
Then if you don't know who that was, who does? Someone who has to know the man in that golden armor.
Dollar. In the heat of battle, she remembered hearing the word dollar being cried out as the golden streak sped for the sacred blood beast. It had come from right next to her, from Tobias? Looking around, Sarah couldn't see a sniveling recruit who was almost always on her heels. How was it that he was missing at a time like this? After she searched the battlefield for Tobias, her brow furrowed as she realized he wasn't the only one missing.
Where's Son of Heaven?
Seeing that Sarah was right, Deadly Fist clenched his fist.
Damn it, you're right. The greedy bastard ran off. He must be chasing the guy who stole his beast soul.
Or he ran off with the only one who knew anything about the mysterious bandit.
Sarah thought as she called for her men.
It can't be a coincidence that both Son of Heaven and Tobias were missing.
Speeding further away from the confusion, Sen raced down the mountain. As he sprinted across the rocky side, Sen could feel the form of the Bloody Slayer weakening as he struggled to keep it summoned. By the time he felt it was safe enough to unsummon the Bloody Slayer beast soul, Sen was exhausted. Drenched in sweat, Sen dragged the axe behind a rock as he ensured no one was following him. While he had been amazed by the sheer strength of his new beast soul, the energy it required made it ineffective. Even with the sacred blood points that he currently had, Sen was hardly strong enough to endure more than a few minutes using the ability. Using the axe to prop himself up, Sen let out a long sigh.
At the moment, the Bloody Slayer's only good for escaping. It'll be some time before I can properly use it in a battle, and the only way to use the axe is with the Bloody Slayer form, making it useless as well.
Leaning against the axe, Sen watched as it shimmered in the light. Seeing that it didn't disappear when the Bloody Slayer died, Sen knew this sacred blood gear wouldn't disappear anytime soon. It seemed that even creatures could have their own weapons that didn't have to be summoned or unsummoned. Regardless of his interest, Sen knew he wouldn't get much use out of the axe either.
I might not be able to use it, but I can definitely sell it.
A chill went down Sen's spine as he realized the potential profit before him. Selling the golden axe might mean a decent payday for him. Due to its size, only a few people could use the weapon, but it might still be able to pay him $2 million or even $3 million. If he could sell the axe, he might have enough and some pocket change to pay off his aunt and uncle for their family shares. Eager to find a seller, Sen decided to dig a massive hole and hide the battle axe at the bottom of the mountain. Using the Bloody Slayer form, Sen used his massive hooves to help him claw out a deep hole to hide the axe. Once he was confident that no one would find his treasure, he hurried to the steel armor shelter to find a buyer. But unfortunately for Sen, when he returned to the steel armor shelter, he found it was in lockdown. As he approached the front gate, he was surprised to see Son of Heaven's gang, the Sons of Heaven, interrogating each visitor that dared to enter the shelter. Son of Heaven's gang took delight in asserting their power as they tore through each person's belongings. The warriors took more delight in showcasing their power than actually hunting down the Golden Knight. Forced to wait in line for his turn to be searched, Sen couldn't help but feel happy that he had left the axe behind.
Who knows what Son of Heaven's gang would do if they found that in my possession. Son of Heaven's probably frothing with rage right now.
As Sen stepped forward in line to be searched, the goon in charge couldn't be more delighted.
Well, well, it seems like Ass Freak decided to show his face.
With a cruel smile on his face, the goon's accomplice, a woman with a busted nose, snatched Sen's bag.
Buy another beast while you're out? Can't say we missed you on our hunt.
Doing his best not to gloat about his hunt, Sen shrugged.
I didn't find anything out there, just came back to resupply.
As the goon started to dive into Sen's bag, the lead goon let out a cold laugh.
Do you really think you need to waste your time on Ass Freak here? We're giving this wimp way too much credit.
With an embarrassed grunt, the woman threw Sen's bag to the ground.
Yeah, get out of here, Ass Freak. Just know we're watching you.
Picking up the bag, Sen smiled as he stepped out of view of Son of Heaven's goons.
Do they really think they're going to find a beast soul by searching everyone's bags? I bet their faces would turn red with rage if they discovered that ass freak was the mysterious bandit and that they had let him walk right inside.
Not wanting to bring any further suspicion onto himself, Sen hurried into the plaza. As he entered, he was surprised to hear that the big conversation of the hour was himself. Nearly everywhere he turned, he was greeted by all whispering about the mysterious Golden Knight.
You saw what I saw, right? How could someone manage to steal a sacred blood beast soul right from underneath Son of Heaven's nose? That masked knight came in like a golden blur. I heard he's from 2 shelters over, but he can travel across God's sanctuary in a single day.
What did they say his name was? Doll? Doll? Sen couldn't believe his ears. While he had been excited to hear what everyone had to say about his golden armor, he couldn't believe that they had thought his name was Doll. Not nearly as manly as he had hoped. Sen didn't think Dollar would be a difficult name for most people to catch on to. But as he tried to scurry away from the disappointing name, his heart sank even further when he heard an all-too-familiar voice. Tell me again, who is Dollar? Standing in the center of the plaza was Son of Heaven, where he held his flaming sword out to a tied-up and bloodied Tobias. With his hands tied behind his back, Tobias stared at Son of Heaven with wide eyes. Whimpering, Tobias shook his head. I already told you. Then tell me again. Wincing as Son of Heaven held his blade close to his neck, Tobias let everything roll off his tongue. I met Dollar in Zephyr Valley, where he was killing lightning mantises, like a lot of lightning mantises, more than I've ever seen anyone kill in one trip. I made a deal and bought them all off of him, but I didn't plan on how to transport them, so I got stuck. Son of Heaven pushed his flaming blade closer to Tobias. Do you think I'm gonna believe that? If he's supposed to be this incredible warrior, why would he be hunting lightning mantises? Tobias whimpered. I don't know. It's just what happened. I swear, Mr. Son of Heaven, sir. Sen winced as he listened to Jack's whip strike next to Tobias. Having felt the sting of that blade, Sen was all too familiar with the pain it could cause. It seemed the only thing keeping Tobias alive right now was that he didn't know anything. Why else would they be insistent on keeping a small fry like him alive otherwise? From behind Son of Heaven, Jack Ballard twisted his whip in his hands. I'm positive he knows something, boss. He knew the guy's name. Wiggling in the dirt, Tobias begged as tears streamed down his face. I promise you, that's all I know about the guy. Please, you have to believe me. Liar! Son of Heaven roared as he raised his flaming sword.
Release my man this instant, Son of Heaven,
hissed a familiar feminine voice from behind Son of Heaven. Peeking over the ever-growing crowd, Sen could see Son of Heaven's face grow pale. Sarah Arryn had arrived.